So we have a new team, same problems for John Collins. He's available. He's back on the trade block just like he was in Atlanta. Utah has said, we want to move on from you, man. He's 26 years old. He's entering his prime. He's a forward that is averaging 15 and 9 with 1 block while shooting 48 from the field, 38 from the three, 75% from the line. What's the problem in Utah? He hasn't bought into the offense or the defensive system. Offensively, I would be intrigued if the Pistons brought this guy in because he's the type of forward that can help Cade and Duren out, especially if you want to continue to play two bigs. This is the type of big you play in a two big lineup. Someone that's mobile, he can hit some outside shots, he can play in the post. He can also be a pick and pop player with Cade or Ivy or Killian or whoever you want to throw out there. And he's also a guy that you can just throw a ball and get him a bucket. He struggles defensively. Opponents are actually shooting 6% better when being defended by him. And the one larger issue I have is just his contract. He has 3 years left, I think at about $25 million. And the reason it's not the money that I have a problem with, because it only takes up about like 18% of the cap space. It's just that would conflict with re-signing Cade and some of the other young guys when those guys are looking for extensions.
Yeah, like we talked about John Collins last year, I believe, and I told you he's that re-gifting player. Like everyone, like around Christmas time, there's that one person in their family where they re-gift everything, and to me, that's John Collins. Like every year, he's available on the trade block. It's another team that basically traded absolutely nothing to get him. And like, if you look at his numbers, you're like, what's Utah's problem? Like offensively, if you look at the numbers, 14 and a half, 8.5 rebounds, 1 block, he's shooting 48% from the field, 38% from three. Like what's the problem? And I think you said it, it's on the defensive end of the floor. This year with the Utah Jazz, if you're combining all of the games, he's a minus 187. I mean, that tells you all. If you follow the plus minus, that tells you all you need to know about John Collins. Like offensively, phenomenal talent. To your point, yeah, like around 26 million per year, and I think he'll be a UFA when he's like 26 or 27. Don't quote me on that. I'm just 29. Going off 29. Okay, yeah, yeah. Don't listen to me. But I think offensively, he's a good player. It's just on the defensive end of the floor. That's where he kind of leaves you wanting more because you see the talent he has where he can, stretch a team out from the perimeter. He's just a human highlight reel in terms of just being a lob threat. But I don't know. Like, is this the type of move that really moves the needle for the team? Instead of, on pace for 8 wins, maybe you win 11.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, is that something you really want to do? Because if you look at the Pistons cap space next year, $16 million right off the bat was going to Isaiah Stewart for the Pistons. If you were trade for John Collins, it's another $26 million. So you would use half of your cap space potentially. So who knows like what they're going to do, during this deadline. We'll get into it a little bit later in the podcast, but that would be half of your cap space spent on Isaiah Stewart and John Collins. And you also have to remember Cade Cunningham is extension eligible this summer too.
Yep.
So those are all the things that you have to kind of remind yourself of. But to your point, I think he would be a good forward to pair. If the Pistons want to continue to run this two big lineup in the front court, to me, I just don't think it's going to work. I just don't. I just think you need more perimeter shooting around these bigs, and that's something that we don't really have a lot of is perimeter shooting right now.
Yeah, and if this Detroit team wasn't such a mess and the roster seemed like they were heading into a direction of actually winning games, and John Collins could just provide you with a little bit more offense, whether it's off the bench or whether it's starting at the 4, I would say, yeah, make a plunge. Try to bring him in because I do think he could help out in ways that Isaiah Stewart or Marvin Bagley can't. So I would take the chance on him, but right now I just don't see it because I don't want to look at this roster 3 years from now and John Collins is second option on this team, maybe behind Cade Cunningham. I feel like that would be more of a waste of the resources that are available to the Pistons. So it would be a no for me on John Collins, even though I do really like his game. And I mean, he's far away from being the 22-10 player he was in his third year in the league, where it looked like he was just going to be, multiple time All-Star. But yeah, it would just be a no for me.